I just, mentally, it was like I couldn't stay there anymore. My mom was, I'd hear him screaming at nighttime as we were laying down in the bedroom. Me and my brothers would just clam up. And I remember my mom screaming and crying and things getting thrown and slamming all over the place. And I remembered I decided that I was running away and I wasn't coming back. And so I remember running away, and get this, when you're 10 years old, running away is like 4 or 5 blocks away. So we get to the home, and it's a beautiful home, and Bob Shamrock walks up to me, and he shakes my hand and gives me a hug. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm 5 years old. I hadn't had physical contact with a grown-up forever. No man has ever come up to me and hugged me. No man, ever. And the only woman that ever hugged me, besides whenever I wanted to hug them and get what I wanted, was my mother. And I didn't get that but maybe twice, 2, 3 times in my lifetime. Here's this man that shakes my hand. How you doing? And gives me a hug. And I was like, whoa. This is not what I signed up for. Get me out of here. We're sitting there talking. There's 18 boys in this home. And they're all like, hey, Pop, what's up? Hey, Pop, they're all coming home from school. Hey, Pop, what's up? Hey, Pop, what's up? They're giving him a hug. He's not going to them. They're coming to him. And they're giving him a hug. They got long hair. They got tattoos. Some of them are smoking, not in the house, outside. And they were giving him a hug. Wow. These are guys on the street that I wouldn't mess with. They're giving him a hug. Now I'm like, wow. And right there, I knew that this guy here cared about those kids in the home. And then I started to open up. Well, my life started to really change because he held churches on Sunday afternoons and Bible studies on Wednesdays. We went down to a church and we would go to Bible study there. But he held church at the house there on Sundays. And it was 18 boys, 4 counselors, and friends that would come to this service. And it was in a group home. And he held the services. And it wasn't like any service you've probably ever been to, unless you've been to prison and you watched some of the services there. It was definitely in your face. When I was fighting the UFC, my life became a whole new world. I went to Japan. I became an instant star over there because, one, I was very intense. I knew how to fight, whether it was technical or not technical. I knew how to throw a right hand. I knew how to throw a knee, and I know how to kick somebody when they're on the ground. That was legal then. But, I had the intensity. So, just like anything else, character is what sells. And I had character, lots of it. Not necessarily the best kind of character, but I had it. And so I remember in Japan, I went over there, I fought. I became an instant star over there. Things came at me really fast. Then the UFC came around. I got in the UFC, and I started fighting the UFC. And there was this guy who wore pajamas that fought in the very first UFC. And I was like, man, that dude's a punk. He's wearing jammies to fight, man. I'll smash him. So I go in there. I don't even study who the guy is. And I go in there, and I get choked out by 150, 40, whatever weight the guy weighs. It's embarrassing. But choked out by a guy in pajamas. Of course, I wasn't wearing too good a thing either. I was wearing Speedos. So here you got a guy in pajamas, another guy wearing Speedos. I don't know which one of us is gayer. And as all this was going on, I lost focus of who I was. I lost what it was that I was doing and where I came from and who I was and what I was trying to do and the good things that I had in life. I lost all that because I had this thing I was going after. I had money. I had a family. I had cars. I had houses. I had everything. But I was going after this guy, and I wasn't thinking about anything else. And I got involved with drugs and women, and you name it. I was in it, and I'm embarrassed, man. It's embarrassed to stand up here and say this, but if I don't, then I know that the people that I led astray when I was doing those things, that looked up to me and thought that I was their hero, and I was out doing those bad things, I ain't doing justice. And this is something that has been on my mind and my wife's mind for a long time, that I have to get this out. I have to tell people It has to come from me. Because those people that I led astray, during those times that they were looking up to me, I want to triple, quadruple, however many of those people I want to lead back to the Lord. I want them to take the story that I have and the embarrassment moments that I have and the hurt and all the pain that I have and let them know about that so that I can somehow or another make it up. And I know I can't, because the people that I led astray, the only way I know is if I could get in front of them and tell them. Hopefully this gets in front of them and they can see me now and know that those things that I did was chicken, cowardly, easy way out, taking advantage of the gifts that God gave me. And that's exactly what it was, taking advantage of the gifts that God gave me. I cheated on my wife, my first wife. I cheated on my children. I cheated on myself. I cheated on the sport. I cheated on the fans. And all that stuff. It's a sad days for me to try and bring it all back into perspective and to give back and to try and I can't make up for it, but to try and make up for it, try and do the right thing I have gone from living in a ghetto, in a car, being stabbed, living in group homes, to the success story. But the success story it wasn't a success, man. It wasn't doing the right things. It didn't do the right things. I would rather be, and I lost everything. I mean, I did. And most people don't know this because I'm a very private person, and no one ever really knew what I was thinking, and no one really knew who I really was. But there was a time where I was living on a mattress in a 2-bedroom apartment with no money, and I was a heavyweight champion of the world. No one would know that because I didn't want anybody to know. Because of my pride, too much of it. Because I am just a messenger, man. I'm just a guy standing up here that God's speaking through, just like he does you when you're talking to your friend, and that he should do when you're talking to your friend. Every one of us that has an opportunity to be able to talk to friends and family, to pass the word on, we should be doing that. We shouldn't be embarrassed of it. We shouldn't be, afraid to say, "Man, I love God." I'm a Christian and I love Jesus and I want everybody to know it. God is a loving God. He's a forgiving God. Don't mess with him. Don't mess with him. You hear the story about him carrying the cross and being flogged and the skin ripped from his bone and still picking that cross up and carrying it and taking it all the way to the end. And at any time, he could have struck down any of them. At a moment's notice. And he still bared our sins and still kept driving and never quit. I have a shirt that says "Never submit." Jesus didn't tap. It's true, man. He did all that for us. And I'm going to spend my rest of my life, obviously I love what I do as far as my career in fighting, but I'm spending the rest of my life trying to reach out and talk to people and see if we can't turn the whole world over to God. That's a goal. And I think if everybody, if every person in this world talks to a few people and makes a commitment that they're going to turn them over to God and lead them to God, I think the world is going to become definitely a better place. Obama's not going to do it. Our political system is not going to do it. They're trying to throw "In God We Trust" out. So we know it's up to us. It's up to us, brothers and sisters. We have to do it. I'm a born-again Christian, and I love Jesus, and my family loves Jesus. And I thank you for having me here and allowing me to talk to you. And along with a lot of these other great guys here, they're going to be talking to you also. Again, thank you very much, and God bless every one of you.